Welcome to Pop and Play, the podcast all about play in its many silly, serious, and powerful forms. As always, I'm Nathan Holbert, and with me is Haeny, Baby New Year, Yoon.
Yeah!
Happy New Year, Haeny.
Oh, thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. I guess if you're Baby New Year, that makes me old father time.
Well, old father time. Okay, yes. Wise and sage. Okay, this year, we decided... What do you mean this year? No, we decided that we would have a best of episode again.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
This is probably going to come out like late January, and people are going to be so sick of best of episodes.
Or will they be?
Or will they?
Or will they have a renewed energy for best of stuff and be like, this is exactly what I needed?
Ours is just best of first 2 weeks of January.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not going to be a best of episode because I think we realized at some point that people do not want to hear our haphazard thoughts about our favorite chocolates, favorite desserts, the top 5 cheesy holiday rom-coms, even though I could probably spew one off of the top of my head.
You say they're not interested, but I'm skeptical.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested, so that means everyone else is.
Right.
So rather than give you a list of our year's best haphazardly, we challenged ourselves a little bit. And we decided that since you spent half a season with us, ranting and raving about all kinds of different topics, from schools to play to sad Batman costumes, today's episode, we revisit some of these topics of these pop-offs by introducing our best of list with topics that we are actually experienced with. Play, learning, culture, and pedagogy.
Listen, I'm also experienced with sad Batman, so I don't know why that didn't count.
I mean, you went all in with that costume, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of looking back at the past year of our podcast. Like, we've covered, you're right, we have covered a lot of different topics. So it is nice for us to have a chance to go back, and we're not doing a best of our podcast, but we're revisiting some of the ideas and thinking about, where did those emerge? How are we thinking about those? What different resources, readings, movies, TV shows have kind of inspired our thinking on those. And so that's our goal here in this episode, right?
Yeah, and we're hoping that we'll end this episode with a list of resources for you to think about and look at.
That's right. I mean, you're going to leave here with a new shopping list of things to buy and read and play.
That's what we need, overconsumption.
And the entire list is things that we've made. No, I'm just kidding. And let me introduce you to our merch store.
Yeah. Join our Patreon.
Okay, let's kick this off with something that's very much in your wheelhouse, and that is schools and classrooms.
Yes.
So when you think back on your year, what is one of the most interesting, pleasurable, fascinating, exciting things that you've seen at a school or in a classroom this past year?
So I feel like this year the best thing that I actually did for myself was to visit more classrooms. And that was partly because the world was making me depressed. Yeah. I was thinking about all the ways that we can make like any kind of contribution to what's happening in the space outside. And I felt like schools were the place that kind of gave me new life. And listening to kids just say funny, serious, silly, frivolous, get it, things about play and their experience. And then teachers also facilitating that actually gave me a lot of hope, I suppose.
Yeah.
So I want to give a shout out to John McCann, who during the pandemic really helped revitalize the outdoor space and the outdoor garden at his public school. And I got to witness kindergartners going outside and spending their whole day learning and playing and being in that space in the outdoor environment. I felt like I really learned a lot about what the possibilities and potential could be in having like a mindset or pedagogy and freedom that comes from being outside and what that can mean for the inside.
Wow. That sounds awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
Gardens are such wonderful spaces to just like mess around in and like just be and like accept the dirtiness, accept the kind of like weird life that's forming in this place.
And it's almost like every day you're there's an unexpectedness to it where you're like, I might see a snail crawling over in the mud today, which I actually did see. Or I might see like a new thing being built by a group of children over here. Or I might listen in on a conversation by the wheelbarrow about farts, which I also did. These are all true stories, right? So it was like such a great space. And it just kind of reminded me that it's so hard to pinpoint what is the best thing, the top thing I've seen in 2025 in classrooms, because I think it reminded me that so many interesting and awesome things are happening in there.
I look forward to your journal article, "Farts by the Wheelbarrow," coming out.
Oh my God, I have an article coming out about farts. Be on the lookout.
I can't wait.
All right, so let's move on to your favorite topic, autocracy. I'm just kidding.
God.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, so my question to you is that we continue to live in a world where something new seems to be bothering us in the horizon and continuing to manifest in very traumatic ways for us and to us. And so in the midst of that, instead of like a commentary on the world, which is going to turn into the most depressing podcast on the face of the earth, what is one of the best articles, think pieces, media production, something that gave you hope in 2025?
Man. Hope has been so hard to come by, and I feel like oftentimes it feels like a forced exercise that I have to kind of engage in, just because I really am a kind of a person that needs to see hope and stuff. Otherwise, I just can't function. So, I think I'm gonna give a shout out to the TV show Andor season 2 specifically. So this
unexpected response.
Star Wars on this show. Look, I mean,
tell us what Andor is.
Andor was a show on Disney Plus. It's there's 2 seasons of it, and it's basically the story of this character who's in the Star Wars universe, and he is living in the time where the Empire is becoming the Empire, the one that we know from the Mark Hamill Star Wars movies. And the first season was really about him just sort of being an everyday guy, starting to experience what fascism was like around him, and how that drew him into wanting to fight it.
To be part of the rebellion.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a little dark, but it was really, really good. Second season is much more about like, how do we go from here into the first A New Hope Star Wars movie? And you get this sense, it's also very dark in places, but you have this sense that, fascism has within it the sort of seeds of its own destruction, right? Like the arrogance, exactly. The arrogance, the stupidity, the illogical ways of seeing the world, like, are the ways in which they also crumble. And so it's definitely worth a watch. It definitely gave me hope. And I think, there's lots of other amazing writing that people have done on this topic, but like that was my piece of media that like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah, when you see things like that, they might be the victim of their own demise.
Yeah. Hopefully it takes fewer like laser guns.
And not 2 seasons.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
All right, so we also had an episode around Halloween where we were talking about costumes. We were talking about kind of creative production. I'm wondering if we think about stuff you've seen or things you've been a part of this year that were creative and exciting, what's on the top of your list?
Yeah, so this is not exactly one thing, but I did have a moment. So a couple of days ago was the Critics' Choice Award.
Okay.
And it felt like K-pop Demon Hunters really reeled it in.
Nice.
Okay, so they won a lot of different things.
And I'm going to watch that show at some point.
I know, you should, because it made me really proud of Koreans.
Rightfully so.
And I feel like I actually am here for all the Halloween pandemonium this year around K-pop Demon Hunters. I loved all the Rumi costumes. I loved all the different renditions and iterations of the characters in K-pop Demon Hunters. I really just liked it, and I felt like the more things I saw around it, whether it was the most prolific and creative thing that people have seen, or whether it's just like I bought this costume on Amazon or something for $9.99, I was here for all of that because I felt like all of that kind of brings this visibility and light and attention to it, and so I like it.
That
I'm
sounds
proud
great.
of Koreans. I'm rooting for you guys.
I'm looking forward to seeing like Comic-Con and
Yeah.
places like that where they
I
get a
think
chance
it's
to
going to
really
be
shine.
cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh my God, that's part of the song. Shining.
Shine?
I'm not going to sing it because
Maybe-
it's way too high.
Maybe I have seen it. I
So,
don't know.
Nathan and I really try to sing a lot on this,
do.
but can't sing that because it's so high, it's impossible.
Yeah,
How about you?
I'm not going to do it.
What creative thing did you see related to
Oh.
making, since that's your
It's
area
kind
of
of my
expertise?
jam. Yeah, I thought about this for a while because there's a few things that I could put forward here, and I'm gonna choose something a little smaller, and that is that one of my students invited us to in my lab explore this thing called flower pound dyeing.
What?
Flower pound, as in
Dyeing?
hammer smashing, and dye as in like colors in your clothes,
Oh,
right?
like okay,
Like
and then flower,
dye,
like
flower
flower
pound.
with yeast
So literally,
flower, or like flower?
No, flowers like plants.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what it is you sort of treat the fabric that you're gonna dye.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit of a process for that, but then you literally just taking like petals from flowers and you smash them with a hammer, and it imprints the dye behind, and then it
okay.
also, because of the pre-treatment that you do, it like you can wash it and it stays, and you get these really, really vivid, beautiful colors. But you also, because of the process being so handmade, you can really design patterns and structures and things with it. Very cool. Also, just a very fun and cathartic process.
Oh yeah.
So my whole lab was in there one week, and we were all just smashing
Pounding flowers
with hammers. Yeah, pounding flowers. We all had like earplugs in, and then somebody like walked up like, what is happening here?
That is really cool. Do
It's
you have
great.
it displayed somewhere?
We do. We have them displayed in the lab. Come on over to the Snow Day Learning Lab
That
anytime
is
to
very
see.
cool. That does remind me of an episode of Meghan Markle's new show on
God.
Netflix that I ended up watching. Actually, this applies, okay?
Oh, please, yeah.
Because no matter how you feel about Meghan Markle,
I don't have
okay?
strong opinions.
Yes. I actually kind of appreciate her show because she's not an expert really at anything, but she tries everything. Like, it seems like she's like willing to dabble, and it kind of comes off very weird.
yeah.
But I do appreciate the attention to like just trying.
Yeah. No, I love that.
And she did one of those things where it was like flower imprinting. Like,
I can't see her using a big like sledge
no, she's
on
a
that
little
show.
too proper for
That show was
that.
a little too tidy for me. I
Yeah.
think was
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. Well, anytime you want to hammer some flowers, let me know.
Gee, that sounds like a delightful project. Okay, so now that we're deep into winter,
Oh, we're
maybe
deep in
let's
winter.
start winter and then let's go to summer.
Okay,
So one of our
sure.
episodes that we did, we talked about summer and
That's right.
breaks
Yeah.
and the pressure that sometimes parents feel in engaging their children in the summer with as many activities as possible. And we kind of
Yeah.
thought about like, what does it mean to take a step back,
Yeah.
calm down, chill, and play, right? So before we go to summer, let's think about winter. Okay, since we're in the thick of it right now, what's the best winter activity to do with kids or without kids of 2025 for you?
Well, I'm going to answer without kids.
Okay.
I love
Okay.
I love hanging out with my kids and going sledding and snowball fighting and stuff. But I really like to snowboard. I don't do it very often. I do it like sometimes only once a year or maybe twice a year. But I really enjoy doing it. I'm not good at it, and I don't get to do it enough. But it is a lot of fun. Let me tell you a very brief story about.
Okay.
This is I think 2 years ago now. But I was just to give you a sense of how good I am at snowboarding. I've been snowboarding all day. I was with one of our colleagues, not too far upstate, and I was like, man, this is just great. It's wonderful. I've had fun. I'm a little tired, but like, let's one more time down the hill. We'll call it a day, and it'll just be a total success. It's my last time
famous
snowboarding
last
this year. Right
Okay.
about when that escaped my mouth, I caught an edge and like smashed down, like rolled like 4 times, and like, cracked a rib.
That happened this year?
That was 2 years ago.
Oh my God.
But it was just like, oh, of course.
Oh my God. But this year you did not quit and you decided to do it again.
No, I did it last year again a few times, and I've
Good.
got a trip planned soon as well. But that's my favorite thing. Even though I'm just getting old enough to where like injuries last,
Oh, that's
it's
good.
still a lot of fun.
Do you remember on one of the episodes you said something about surfing? Didn't you say you wanted to learn how to surf?
I would love to learn how to surf. Yeah, I've tried and briefly, but
I feel like there's some parallels between surfing and snowboarding.
You'll have to tell me when you're surfing next week.
No, thank you.
How about you? What's your favorite? I know you don't like to ski that much, right?
No. Okay, so me and winter sports do not get along, especially the skiing, snowboarding, any kind of snow hill thing. The last time I skied, I think I mentioned this already, is I ran into my friend and then I ran into a sign. This is all before I started, so that was not cool. Okay, I put in my notes that building a snowman is a thing, but there is actually a very specific thing. So yesterday I was running. Or no, maybe a few days ago.
Yeah.
And I was running back towards our apartment. And you know how in one of the benches there's like a snowman
every year.
Every year?
Every time there's a snowfall, somebody builds a snowman. I was going to ask, is that you that makes those?
No, but we really need to know who that is.
Yeah, I do want to find out.
Actually, the mystery is also quite nice. And I don't know when they do it.
I've never seen
them making it. But every year, I look forward to the idea that when the first snowfall comes, there's going to be this snowman family that is going to be sitting on one of the benches as I walk back home. And it kind of reminded me of like the last episode or a couple weeks ago we talked about traditions, right? And the things the things that we kind of cultivate, whether it's small or large, and it just made me think about like the beauty that there could be in just these small little traditions that we make for ourselves.
That's good.
Yeah.
When's the last time you made a snowman?
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute for me too. Sometimes with the kids we'll make one, but
because my summer activity was to touch grass and be outside.
That's your summer activity?
I don't actually like to touch snow. So, because, I don't like to be cold.
I would prefer to touch snow than grass.
And why is that?
Grass is fine, but I think I'm a little allergic to it, and so it's a little itchy.
Yeah, I think I'm allergic to grass too.
Yeah.
But, it's also a metaphor. If you didn't know.
Touch snow.
Yes. The touch grass was a metaphor. The touch snow was literal. I didn't know why you couldn't make that jump.
I'm very slow today.
I'm just kidding.
So wait, so your favorite summer activity is touch grass and be outside?
It's just being outside. Yep.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I like that as well. I think when I think of the summer, I often have conferences in the summer, and so in my brain, part of the thing that's connected now that I'm an adult that's connected to summer is being in a city somewhere elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And my favorite thing to do when I'm in a city I haven't been to is just to wander. I'd like to choose a location or whatever, but then after that, just kind of walk around and see where I can go. And so that's one of my favorite things to do is just get lost in a new place.
I think that's great. I feel like wandering is so underrated. There's a book, On Looking, by Alexandra Horowitz, and it's about walking. And each chapter she walks with a different person that has a different lens for seeing, like an architect or a young child.
Yeah.
Or, someone who's really into typography or something like that. And she kind of talks about and notices how people will look differently depending on their point of view. And then it also kind of creates a different way of looking for you too. Yeah.
Look, way to elevate our go outside.
I often think about that when I'm because I feel like lately I've been thinking about walking without a purpose.
Right.
Because you're so purposeful when you walk, and maybe there's a different kind of walking and wandering that can happen.
That's key. Mm-hmm. Being able to just let purpose emerge in your wanderings.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring it to a topic that you and I supposedly know a lot about, which is play. Mm-hmm. And you're a big reader. You just like out of nowhere quoted a book and invited us to think about wandering and how important that is. So as the resident book reader, what's the best book you read about play?
I actually cheated a little bit, and I did an oldie but goodie. So 1984, Vivian Paley wrote this book.
You weren't even born in 1984.
Yeah, exactly.
Neither was I.
Yeah, exactly. Wally Stories was written by Vivian Paley, and she basically spent like a whole year just collecting play stories in a kindergarten classroom, right? And it was around Wally and just his inclusion into the classroom, but then also like it just made me the reason why I revisited it again this year and why I bring it back in 2025 is that a class I taught in the fall, I decided that instead of looking for like all of these new things on Play, which is what I usually do, I was like, what is an oldie but goodie that I have to revisit and look at again? And I looked at Wally stories again, and I was like, you know what? This is amazing. More people need to read this, and more people need to do stuff like this, because I feel like it reminded me that it's not about like theorizing play or saying something really smart about play. It's also just reveling and understanding and being willing to just join in on what children are playing, right? And amplifying their stories enough so that it gets into a book.
That is really, really delightful. I like how you put that as well, just sort of feel the revel and get into it.
Yes, exactly.
I haven't read that. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yes, you should.
It is making me. I want to make the transition from what you just suggested from Wally's stories to the book that I chose because I have a quote from the inside cover that feels like it's exactly like what you said. So maybe we're on the same page here. This is a book called The Rules We Break by Eric Zimmerman, and it's a book kind of about it's about rules, it's about game design, it's about play. But it's really philosophical. It's also extremely playful, right? When you first open up the cover, it says "play with this book" in like these giant block letters. And on the back cover, inside cover, it says "easy as shit."
Oh, I love that.
Which I find really fun.
Yes. I love profanity in books. Delightful.
I know, me too. Why is that so pleasurable?
Exactly.
But the quote that I want to mention, and this is actually a quote from another book, Bernard de Koven's The Infinite Playground, but it goes like this. It's like a little short poem here. It's a choice, this being in play. And to make this choice, you need to be aware that such a gift is available to you and yours all the time. To play, you don't need toys or costumes or joke books. You don't even need games, although they can help. But you do have to be open, vulnerable. You do have to let go.
Ooh.
Right? Like
yes.
chills.
Yeah, totally.
It feels like that's kind of exactly the spirit you.
Yeah, totally. Because I feel like what you see in Wally stories is like this openness and vulnerability and willingness of young children to just be able to say things to one another, to contradict each other, right? To ask questions of each other. And it takes a lot to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Right. So
A necessary condition, though, for play. Right?
Yeah. I really like that.
So that was Eric Zimmerman's The Rules We Break, and also Vivian Paley's Wally's Stories. So those you can add to your shopping list.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Those in our merch store.
And a snowman. And some grass. Oh my God.
It's like when you'd go into those juice stores and they'd have just like a little plot of grass there they'd throw in your cup.
Oh my
like,
God. Yeah.
What are you doing here? All right.
Oh gosh. Okay. Let's move on to AI.
Let's go to AI.
Because I feel like this year we've been talking a lot about AI, not just on the podcast, but just everywhere. In response to
everywhere.
It's everywhere, right? And so I feel like it's really important to think about how we should be working through some of the tensions and dilemmas that have to do with AI. And so I go back to our episode that we had, and you were obviously more the expert. I was more I asked a lot of questions thing. But
that was an early one this year.
Yeah. And so what do you think, what have you come across recently in 2025 that has been the best resource for thinking through issues around AI?
I had a bit of a tough time with this one because I ended up like fully ensconcing myself in readings around AI this year. I taught a course on ethics and educational technology, and because my students were really interested in AI, we basically made that whole semester about AI, and we tried to treat it, really thoughtfully. Like we spent a lot of time going deep into. There's this really fascinating YouTube video. Maybe I can put it in the show notes. It's like a 4-hour video, but it explains the actual kind of architecture and the algorithm design. But then we also, very interesting. But then we also read, a ton of. There's all these different news stories of these just horrifying tragedies that have been tied up in and oftentimes caused by AI. And there's also all this, research around, the way kind of big data capitalism has kind of captured our society and our governments, and how the kind of AI ideology is all kind of wrapped up in all of this. So it's been very dark. You heard me complain a lot about how just like depressing this was. But one thing I'll maybe from all of that I'll pull out, and I know it's going to be a little bit related to your answer as well, is Karen Howe has this really great book called Empire of AI. And she is on a podcast episode with, I'm going to have to find the name of the podcast in a moment.
The name of the guy too.
But it's called AI Companies Believe They're Making God with Karen Howe. And it is, it's with Adam Conover. Sorry, it's Factually with Adam Conover. That's the podcast. AI companies believe they're making God. And it's just super fascinating because what she does is she kind of goes into the depth of, if you're not familiar with this, there is this kind of religious aspect to a lot of what's happening in AI design. And then that creates this fascinating, like, logical tension that many of these engineers and corporate owners have found themselves in, where they believe they're building God, but now they also don't know what to do with it. So it's a bit mind-boggling, and it also kind of makes this case of, as her book does, that the best way to understand AI companies is not to look at companies, but to look at empire building. So fascinating listen, and very connected to her book as well.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. On a separate, not related to your recommendation of that podcast, I think we simultaneously recommended that episode to each other, which I think is hilarious. Because I also listened to that and was like, oh my God, as someone who is not as deeply entrenched in it and having to talk about it all the time, I felt like it really highlighted a lot of issues that I should be thinking about too that I haven't considered. So I feel like it works for someone who has thought about it a lot and works for someone who is kind of new to understanding it. But I read 30 pages of her book. I would like to normalize reading 30 pages, the first 30 pages. Okay, to be fair, her book is like Bible-sized.
It's a chunky book.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it is the first 30 pages, excellent, 5 stars.
Yeah.
But I feel like
31.
Who knows what happens after page 30? But I can tell you what happens in the first 30 pages. And she just basically talks about like the empire, like the imperialist mentality and colonizing aspect of knowledge, of ideas, of people that it takes to really manufacture and put AI into focus, right? And so I think I think the reminder that she gives us in the first 30 pages is that we don't want to use AI as a replacement to solve things, that we also need to be thinking about other things related to that, whether it's social cohesion or whether it's global cooperation, or to think about things like healthcare or climate that is not fixable with AI, right? That maybe a scaled down version of AI models could help facilitate that, right? But it really takes like a lot of human intelligence and capital, and motivation to do that.
And I hate to do this because it's so annoying, but like I have to, like, take one brief moment, like the word, this word AI that we've come up with.
I kind of knew you were going to do this.
Sorry, I have to. It just like, it's a marketing term. It's become the term we use to replace all sorts of other technologies and algorithms and designs and things. And because of that, it's lost so much meaning. And it does also then push out the places where there are these interesting algorithms and technologies that we have built, machine learning, that do have contributions to make in these human systems that we've talked about. And so like, I think it's such an important point to be made is that there are things to be solved. There are also going to be some problems that I don't know that we can solve, but this notion that this quote unquote AI is just the magic bullet for everything is absurd.
Right.
And that book does a great job of highlighting that.
Yeah. I feel like we should have a book club. Everybody should read 30 pages and then we should jigsaw the whole book. And then we could all be like, we read it.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, lastly, because this is a podcast, let's talk about our favorite podcast episode of 2025 that you want to highlight.
Wait, that's not what I thought we were going to talk about. This is the favorite podcast episode?
No, favorite podcast episode out there, not ours.
No, I know, but
the best episode or podcast episode that reframed culture for you. Sorry. Yes. That reframed an idea, a cultural idea.
Yeah.
For you.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I got a lot of other video game podcasts.
Yes. Which I think you wanted to mention, which I think you already did.
No. I'll go for it. So this was in my mind the best podcast episode that reframed culture, and so I was trying to think about what things have I listened to that really made me kind of think differently about culture. And there is an episode from the podcast called Search Engine. And the episode title was America versus China. And the basic premise was, growing up in the U.S., we often hear about China as being this other, and it's often spoken of in kind of these oppositional terms. And oh God, their community, their culture. You don't want that here in America. And it's, you're inundated with it from being very young.
Yeah.
And so in this episode, they spoke to a person who has lived extensively in multiple places, and both in China and then also in the U.S., and just kind of tried to have a plain conversation about differences. And it was really fascinating. I mean, I'm not going to try to cover the whole episode, but it really, for me, there were multiple times where I thought, oh my God, I want that. And then there were other times where I thought, oh God, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And it really allowed me to be a little more kind of critical and thoughtful, not about my own culture. I'm already quite critical and thoughtful about that, but a little more critical and thoughtful about my awareness of the culture that is in China.
Yeah, like nuances.
Yeah,
the idea.
So it was great. It was worth a listen.
Yeah. Mine is also related to a book, but an NPR's Code Switch, Youngmi Mayer, she's a Korean-American comedian. She wrote a book called I'm Laughing Because I'm Crying. And it's basically sort of it's autobiographical, but it also talks about like the intersection of Asian American identity and comedy and all of that. And, she talks about how she grew up in Korea with her grandmother, her grandparents, and her mother. And her grandparents had a very tumultuous relationship. It was post-Korean War. They had grew up in a lot of poverty, and her grandfather committed suicide.
Oh, geez.
And her grandmother, she said, despite all the harsh realities that she had to face, that she liked to tell jokes and she was always funny. And she talks about how her Korean family would tell jokes and laugh at the most inappropriate times, like at funerals or at places where you shouldn't be laughing. They just didn't know what to do except to laugh.
Yeah.
And that laughing to her was survival, right? And so I really recommend the podcast Code Switch. I also recommend the book, but Code Switch, because you get to listen to her kind of read parts of it, to talk about it, to sit with somebody else and just kind of retell and rehash that story, which I think is always very delightful. And I think one thing that I really got out of it is that this idea of young people laughing is always kind of like this, we look at it with suspicion, right? We often think of it as nefarious. I often think when I was a teacher and kids would start laughing, I'm like, what are you laughing at? And you would get very suspicious of it and you want to tamp it down or suppress it or dismiss it in some way. And she talks about how laughter for them was a way to get through awkward, tense moments, or because they didn't know what else to do except to laugh, or else they would just cry.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was this idea that she calls it a soft rebellion, laughter can be a soft rebellion against the things that are kind of surrounding and circulating around you. So highly recommend.
Oh, I love that.
Very good book. Yes.
Yeah. Figuring out ways to deal with all the horrors that just as you experience in humanity. I think it's so important.
Yeah.
Let's look forward.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yes.
We've left 2025 and good riddance.
Yes.
We've entered 2026 and oh God,
it started off kind of bad.
Oh God, what is this?
Yes.
But as you think forward, as you think about your year, as you think about your academic life and your work, as well as your life outside of work, what are you looking forward to? What are you hoping to create for that life?
Yeah. So I'm gonna do a long quote. Okay.
Let's do it.
So I'm really into cookbook memoirs. I think I've already mentioned this before. But the cookbook memoir that I got this year was Samin Nosrat's book. I think it's called Good the word good is in it.
I have seen this one on the shelves. Yeah. And I have her other book.
Salt, fat, acid. Yeah. And it's been a while since she published that one, and took her a while to kind of come to this. And at the beginning, like towards the beginning of the book, maybe a few pages in, she has this essay called The Value of Time. And she basically, this is what she says in it. From a young age, I was told time is money. I learned to prioritize output, convenience, efficiency, and profit over all else. So I built my life around work. I measured my self-worth and happiness by how much I could produce, which, oh my God. I mean, can we not relate to that? And then she writes that after the pandemic, she began to ask herself, what is a good life? I now consider a good life to be where I feel deeply about community and the natural world. It's one where beauty and pleasure are paramount, and I do meaningful work that creates joy and connection. A good life is one where time and its vast companion attention are the most precious gifts I can give or receive. So really, I just want my time and my attention to be towards these things, to build community, to build joy, to build connection, and to think about what really gives me meaning, and make those a priority.
I love that. That seems like the right idea.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a problem, right? It should be pretty easy.
No problem. Easy peasy. But if you say it on a podcast, it's true.
It has to be true. Yeah. And and next time somebody asks you to do something that isn't worth your time, you can be like, I need you to listen to this 3
I'm sorry.
minutes.
Is this part of a good life?
I've already said it into the world. It's on mic.
Okay. Is this paramount to my pleasure and joy? Yeah.
Oh man.
How about you?
I don't know. I don't have a beautiful quote. I don't have a thoughtful, poignant, idea to leave with everybody. I think I would say I'm fully on board with what you just said. I think I would also say, as my kids are getting older and I'm starting to see that they might not live in my house too much longer, that I want to keep spending more time with them and making sure that the things that we do, that we don't get too caught up in just the nonsense of the day, or the kind of, we gotta do homework, we gotta get ready for this, we gotta ready for that, just to actually try to enjoy that time together while we can. Yeah. And also just to, like you said, make the things that I'm doing with work meaningful things and things that I'm excited about and things that I think are useful in this particular world that we find ourselves in. Yeah, that's my goal.
Yeah. Sounds like a great plan. Sounds like we're going to crush it.
We're going to crush it.
2026, we're going to crush you.
Listen, if we can make it through 2026 at this rate, I will feel like we did something really powerful.
Very good. Yeah.
Well, Haeny, here's to crushing 2026.
Yes.
And thank you, Pop and Play listeners, for checking in with us every few weeks. We really appreciate you being here, and we really enjoy doing this with you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.